Greetings, and it is such a privilege to be joining you here at this conference for foster parents, professionals, and social workers. I know your leadership. I've worked with them for a number of years and have great respect for them, so I thank them for giving me this opportunity to share with you. They've asked me to share a little bit of my interest and my expertise in the field of foster care and adoption, so I just want to take a very few short minutes to talk to you about something that's really important. Recently, I was out in our backyard and I was planting some flowers. Some of the flowers were from seeds and others were transplanted flowers. I am not really concerned about these plants, the flowers that are coming from the seeds, because they'll have an opportunity to take root in the soil and grow. But my concern was for those transplanted flowers, because I was moving them from a place where they had taken deep roots and putting them into an unfamiliar place. I was really concerned that I had disturbed their connections. I had disturbed their roots. And I know without my consistent, constant nurturing of feeding them and watering them and caring for them, that there is a question as to whether they would survive. Well, as I was thinking about that, I began to think about the foster children, the many foster children that we've had, and foster children that are in foster homes literally across the world, but specifically here in the country of Poland. These children are in foster care, most of them, all of them I would say, through no fault of their own. And they are just like those transplanted flowers. When you move a child from their birth home to a foster home, you're disturbing roots. And some of our children then begin to attach to the new foster caregivers and we uproot them again. And so we know that this has significant impact on their lives, on their emotions, on their development. And we've also learned in the last few years some very significant things. There's been a lot of work done in the area of brain research, attachment, and trauma. And what we've learned is that there are two very important things our children must have for life to go well. They must have attachment, and they must have orientation. Let's talk a minute about attachment. This is what I mean by that. It's a connection to a consistent, safe, and loving adult. It's that relationship that adults, such as foster parents as yourselves, build over time with children, so children learn what is a safe place and learn what is a safe adult. When our children have experienced multiple caregivers, it sets up such a feeling of helplessness and hopelessness for them. So our children not only need attachment, but they need an orientation. It's basically knowing how to operate in the world around us. You might think of a time when you've gone to a new place, a strange kind of place. You were there all alone. You'd never been there before. Did you feel lost? Did you feel helpless? I know that I have. And so imagine this being the world for our foster children, having no attachment figure and having no orientation. With every new foster care move, does great damage to our children. And it sets up such a sense of hopelessness and helplessness with them. So I've talked about the problem. Let's talk about some things that we can do as parents and as professionals to help our children. We can make a commitment as adults to establish safe places for children. And we're not talking just about physical safety, but we're talking about emotional and psychological safety. We can give our children a safe environment that is predictable, and part of that predictability is they know they're going to be there for a while. It's a safe place where adults know how to talk to the children, how to give the children soft and safe touches, and help children learning to make transitions through the activities of their day. The second thing that we can do is that we can make a commitment to some level of permanency for our children. That means we do everything possible to maintain that child in their initial placement. It is a place where their emotional and physical needs are met in loving and caring ways. Another thing that has to happen too is that we train and support foster parents to overcome those hard places where they just feel like they could give up on a child and ask a child to be moved. We need to equip the caregivers to do the task. A third and final thing that we can do is that we can make a commitment to the well-being of children, that we can understand that early childhood trauma and loss impacts them in every sphere of their life, emotionally, physically, psychologically, that they are developmentally impacted and not really the chronological age that many of you are parenting. Let me tell you something as I close, and this is something about who you are. You are a very important person in a child's life. You are what I call a middle circle. You are that connector between a child's needs and the resources that will help him heal. If you were taken out of that equation, where would the children be?